Hey everybody, a warm welcome to the show. I'm Rebecca McLaughlin-Easton, and this week we're on a musical high as we celebrate the very best of European classical composition here in the heart of the UAE. We catch up with the award-winning Hamburg Symphony Orchestra as they pay tribute to Beethoven 250 years after he was born. We're also scouting for young talent as these UAE residents prepare to take to a very big stage in the capital.
It feels really uplifting and I feel really positive.
A little bit later on, we'll explore Kurdish regions of Iraq with strong associations with the arts dating back hundreds of years. But first, never before has the world-famous Hamburg Symphony Orchestra performed here in UAE, so Inspire went along to give them a very warm welcome. When the highly respected Hamburg Symphony Orchestra go on tour, they don't travel light. Packed up and flown from Germany to the UAE capital this month were the musical instruments of more than 75 professionals, along with 80 singers, whom, as part of the UAE's cultural calendar called the Abu Dhabi Classics, came to town to celebrate Ludwig van Beethoven's anniversary. And what better way to mark the occasion than by playing one of the most famous pieces of classical music ever written by the German composer, his Ninth Symphony in D minor. Beethoven's final symphonic masterpiece was first performed in Vienna in 1824, by which time the composer was almost completely deaf. And the work is considered by many music experts to be Beethoven's magnum opus, or his greatest work. Which would seem to be true because today the symphony is one of the most celebrated and performed pieces of music in the world. To discover why some critics believe the symphony marked a turning point in musical history, I spoke to the world-class conductor responsible for delivering a first-rate performance to audiences in Abu Dhabi. Sylvain Combolin leads the Hamburg Symphony Orchestra, which was established in 1957, and he's best known for his boldly creative approach to productions. Sylvain, a very warm welcome to Inspire Middle East.
Thank you.
Are you allowed, as a conductor, to have favourite composers? And if so, where does Beethoven rank?
I prefer to say, when I am conducting specific pieces, that is my favorite piece, actually. Here, today, Beethoven will be my favorite composer.
Some musicologists say that this piece signified a turning point in musical history. Is that correct?
Yeah, it is correct. First, already is much longer than all the other symphony. The long adagio, the meditation, starting with a big éclat for the orchestra, like a destruction of the harmony, and to find the right melody, very simple melody, they have to sing for everybody in the world, for to say, let's speak about the joy. And we must convince the complete world we are brothers. And the joy can unite us.
If you had the opportunity to meet Beethoven today, what would you say to him?
Don't ask me that, because it is very... I don't know. No, I will have only such admiration, and I will say to him, you did say everything. We don't need more, but we will try to give more.
Beethoven's Ninth is the first example of a choral symphony, best illustrated in the fourth movement, with vocalists singing the words to Ode to Joy, the original 1785 poem by Friedrich Schiller, with revisions from Beethoven himself. The piece explores the themes of tolerance, peace and fraternity, issues that still resonate with audiences today, says Robert Dean Smith, a travelling tenor who's been singing professionally for more than 3 decades. It was his first time performing in the Middle East with the Europa Choir, which was founded in 1997, with the aim of inspiring a renaissance of Germany's rich choral traditions through its performances.
It's really wonderful to sing this. It's so inspiring. It's a great not only joy, but also a sense of well-being. The quality of the music is the reason that so many people know it and recognize it, because it says something to them. An emotion is triggered inside.
The presence of the Hamburg Symphony Orchestra in Abu Dhabi not only served to delight classical music-loving audiences in the Emirate, but also inspire youngsters in the capital.
When I sing it together with my friends, it feels really uplifting, and I feel really positive and optimistic about the future.
And impressively, they managed to master the German text.
Freude, schöne, gute Funke, Tochter aus Silesia.
Students from Al Yasmin Academy and the German International School rehearsed for months ahead of taking to the stage to sing alongside their classical peers from Europe. Guiding them in song was opera singer Helen Kerr, and she told Euronews how important it was for UAE children to be educated about the heroes of European classical music.
It's incredibly important because this is such a massive part of history. I know it's a westernised history, but I work at a British curriculum school. So for me, we can teach children about this kind of music, but to actually experience it and immerse them in it is taking it to a whole other level. It's been quite a challenge because we were singing in 4-part harmony. Also, we have students right from year 2 who are 7 years old up to 18 years old.
All the hundreds of hours of practice would seem to have paid off for these little ones, Beethoven's newest fans, for they managed to deliver the maestro's ode to joy to the great joy of a captive audience in the capital. From the UAE now, we head to some creative hubs in Kurdistan, which have been home to philosophers, musicians and artists for centuries. Rosie Lees-Thompson has more on the cultural reawakening of these cities.
The Kurdish region of Iraq has a long history dedicated to the arts. Since the modern city's founding more than 200 years ago, Sulaymaniyah has been a creative hotbed for singers, artists, polymaths, and poets like Mahi and Pyramid and Nali, who came to call it home. Today, the city is in the midst of transforming a 60,000 square metre abandoned tobacco factory into a cultural hub where young artists can gather to create. For these young Kurds, there are no rules. They simply meet to make music.
It starts as some form of insanity. Everybody's just hitting their instrument, and then at some point they find a rhythm, after half an hour, and they go on that rhythm and they make little tweaks to it by themselves, and what you have after an hour and a half is a masterpiece.
The group attracts performers from across the city and welcomes any instrument into the mix.
We gather here weekly and we practice on an idea we may have, or we mix 2 different instruments that have not been mixed together before. And because of the flexibility of the place and how we are allowed to work on our ideas, we get the opportunity to be able to create something great. If we did not have a stable space like this, it would have been very difficult.
But it's not just musicians that have found a home at the factory. Fine artist Tara Abdullah has transformed a corner of the plant into a gallery and studio.
Art affects you like a disease. You cannot get rid of it, like a disease that affects a person. There's always something inside you that moves. All of this comes out when you move your hands.
Supported by non-profit organisations and the Kurdish regional government, the project of converting the factory into a creative hub is still in its early stages. So far, only one of the buildings has been made into art studios and an exhibition gallery. But there is hopes that in the next couple of years it will host a cinema, theatre, teaching spaces and a dance studio. Sulaymaniyah is not the only Kurdish city to be fostering creativity.
The citadel in Erbil is one of the most oldest continuously inhabited places in the world. There's little wonder that for centuries artists have been inspired by its grandeur.
Like Kurdish Iraqi archaeologist turned artist Lana Haddad, who invented the strategy board game Erbilium, based on Erbil and its history. In the two-player game, participants battle for power and influence as the ancient Assyrian kings Ashurbanipal and Sennacherib.
I hope that this will be the first game in a long series of games where I present a different kind of periods in our heritage. So I started with the Assyrian Empire because it's one of the richest recorded period in history, of human history. And we have so much objects and material from this time.
Lana, who based her game on accurate historical information and events, believes that following decades of conflict, art has become incredibly important to the Kurdish people, allowing them to reconnect with their heritage.
We just don't want to talk about what happened in the past. We don't forget it, but we take it as resilience and try to build something new. So art was always something very, very important in this culture, and not only for the Kurdish, but for all communities that are here living together.
Like many young artists, Lana hopes that her art will bring communities together and create intrigue into the history of the region.
Well, that is the finale of our programme. We hope you enjoyed it, and do be sure to catch all of our episodes online at Euronews.com. Before I say goodbye, here is some musical Instagram posts that inspired us this week. I'll see you next time. Members of the German club from Alain were thrilled to see the Hamburg Symphony Orchestra in action. And Kurdish flautist Sheen shared this video of her celebrating a traditional festival in her homeland.